Well, Jukebox Ginger.
There we go.
You've made it to the call. You have made it to the call, and I've actually made the call. It's recording, so everything's great. Oh. But hey, I just wanted to start out. This is our first podcast of the KC Stars, and you are my first guest, and you're mentoring me on this podcast stuff. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm going to ask you several questions, but my first one is, what's your connection to Kansas City?
I've lived here my whole life. I don't, I moved out for about a year, went to Colorado Springs, but I've lived here the rest of my life, and I know the Kansas side more than I know the Missouri side.
Oh no, and you live in the Missouri side.
No, I live on the Kansas side, but I work in the Missouri side.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. Well,
Uh-huh.
very good. And what is your connection to the Kansas City film scene?
I started following Facebook groups, and that's actually how I met you, and that's about it. I mean, I started podcasting, and with the growth of doing podcasts, a big part was reaching out to groups that are kind of local and global. And that's how I met you. And then I started getting connections with, people like Darren Dowler. I've had him on before and several people that you've introduced me to. So, yeah, you're my connection to the KC film
Oh,
industry.
okay, okay. I'm your connection, and you're my connection to podcasts. So, hey, tell me about your podcasting, because I know you've been doing it several years.
So I started in when COVID hit because I wanted something to do that was more than just sitting in a house. And I stumbled on podcasts. I didn't even know what a podcast was. I was looking for like an artist that I listened to, and I clicked on this thing, and it was a podcast. And I listened to a few minutes, and I was like, "What is this?" So I researched a little bit, and I found out that it's pretty easy to do. And I did a couple with like the little pillow forts in my phone, and I'd hide for clear audio. And I posted some stuff online, and people seemed to like it. So somebody reached out about having a guest on, and after the first guest, I was hooked.
Wow. Now, you run like a series of podcasts that you do as well as some other people. Can you
So,
tell us about that?
so JG's Lounge is considered a network. So I help with designing and the distribution of podcasts. I even have a couple admins that help me with setting up the timing and the scheduling of shows and even launching them because some of the hosts of the shows don't have access to the full amount of JG's Lounge, um, which is where my team comes into play. They can kind of monitor the shows.
Wow. And so how many podcasts do you have?
We have 16. Actively, we have like 12.
Oh, okay.
There's some that only do like one a month, stuff like that. Ultimately, the goal would be to have somebody that does it like at least once every other week. So we're kind of, still working on it, but it's
Yeah.
growing.
And then where do you distribute all these podcasts to?
YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple. I mean, I have so many platforms. I think there's like 13 or 14 audio platforms that it distributes to. And then I'll even do them on TikTok and then redistribute them on YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was going to show you something here.
Mhm.
Let's see. All right, it's taking me a moment here. All these little screens popping up on me.
Oh, that is too funny.
Okay, that's my screensaver,
That's
at,
good.
at least for
That is too
today.
funny.
That's my screensaver. Tell us about the screensaver.
I'm pretty sure my wife was just taking a picture of me, and I'm goofy, so I just kind of did a weird goofy face. I'm actually Welsh. I'm not even Irish. It's just, the leprechaun look works for me.
I love it. And this is probably old news from your podcast, but these are the number of views I saw you'd posted.
Uh-huh.
What were they like? What have been your top viewed um, podcast, your
Um,
top viewed clips? What are they?
so I react to stuff, it's I see a lot of these people that do reactions, and I am very adamant about being unbiased. And so when I do these reactions, I don't like play angry or happy or whatever, I just kind of do a short reaction, and it drives the views because the unbiased aspect of it fuels the comments. So you get those people that are on one side or the other of whatever I'm reacting to, and they drive the views because they're in the comment section. They're like playing one side, they're arguing with each other, or whatever. That's what fuels those numbers.
What, like, give an example, like what's been your most effective one, or what's been your most recent one, or something like that?
There's so the Facebook, I have one that's got it's just shy of 1 million views, and
Wow.
it was a little karate scene, and it wasn't even like it wasn't even what's his name Lee Bruce Lee. It wasn't even Bruce Lee. It was just some random guy doing karate, and there was a guy standing in the background. And I paused it like 3 seconds into him playing, and I go, "Well, that's impressive, but that guy's got a really high forehead." That's all I said. I wasn't even relating it to Bruce Lee, but the comments blew up because people were talking about how it wasn't Bruce Lee and it was Bruce Lee, and it just became this huge debate about the video. And I thought it was hilarious because it had nothing to do with what I was even trying to get out of the video.
That's hilarious. And that's been your biggest one viewed
Facebook.
on Facebook. And I know you're doing some stuff with TikTok now as well.
Right. I have some on Instagram that have gotten, 500,000 views.
Oh
A
wow.
lot of I'm really starting to climb on there, so I'm hitting like 500,000 views a week on TikTok. Um, I'm averaging about 700,000 on Snapchat.
Wow.
Yeah.
On every like
Facebook and Instagram are about 20,000. They're not a lot, but not bad.
you're saying that that's the number of views on each post you do, you get that many views?
No. Just on my profiles.
Total
Yes,
views on
total.
there.
But per week, that's not bad.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Um, which one of these, when you see these, that one that has 91,400 views,
Yeah.
that last one, what was that?
It was just a meme that somebody posted about ultrasound of their baby, and I talked about how it looked like a demon child. And just people in the comments were laugh. They'd either laugh about it or they'd argue, but it's all in good fun. There's nothing that I post is meant to offend anybody.
Yeah,
It does, but I just find humor in it because it's not my purpose.
yeah, no, that's really funny. Anything else on this picture you can think of that to add?
The one in the middle for 29,000 views is a family in a pool because there's a loose cat and they're scared to get out of the pool because of the cat. That one was pretty funny.
That's pretty
Yeah.
funny. That's a
Yeah.
real picture. People really were so afraid of a cat, they thought the water was the best
Yep.
place to go.
Yep. So I mean, you see my stardom shows, and you see how
Yeah,
kind of off the wall they are. That's kind of where these little reactions kind of came from, the aspect of them. So
very nice.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
then this, of course, this is your
That is
burn
too
after
funny.
playing your
Uh-huh.
project. Tell us about your project.
So burn after playing, I've very adamant, and you and I have kind of debated about this. I wouldn't even say it was a debate. We just talked about it. You kind of try to critique me on how I do my film stuff. My biggest thing when I do films is I want to be able to incorporate people from around the world. Like that's you got people on here from literally all over the U.S. I mean, a good chunk of them are here, but you got people in Utah that I see. Uh, Down there by you, you got Maurice, and then you got Corey Castles in Philadelphia. We collectively made a film. It was a short film, but we did it all through Facebook Messenger. The thing is about it is you can do anything if you have your mindset on it, and it works the way I do it, and it really kind of helps me with my creativity when it comes to editing, because I'll tell you guys, hey, you have 2 3 weeks to send me 4 clips, and I'll give you like an idea of what I need. And then it's my job to make it into a film. And, everybody does different stuff. So I have to make it work,
Hmm.
you know? And that specific one was a lot of fun. It was, what was it? Nonprofit organizations that were just terrible ideas.
Yeah,
But
what
it
was
ended up,
yours? What was yours again? I can't remember what yours was.
we did, what did we do?
Was it homelessness or
I did the, yeah, helping the homeless community find homes.
Yes.
And the guy next to me, Evolution, he gave me a description of what he wanted, and I put him like in an abandoned ship in the ocean.
Perfect. Perfect. I can recognize him, and I can see
Yeah.
Dalton Weaver and Brett Zeller.
They ended up not. Yeah, there's a few people in this image that ended up not doing it.
Okay.
So Dalton and Brett, and then the two to the right of them were ended up backing out last minute. So,
Yeah, I know
um,
Maurice King Sr. and I, we did the um, competing with excellent athletes. It's
yeah,
basically it's kind of like the Mike Tyson, whatever, Jake Paul thing, where we were thinking of older athletes who were 70 that we wanted to compete with when we were
right.
marginal athletes. Um,
Well, and
which,
that's something I really enjoy too. Is like I gave you guys, just an idea of what we're looking for, and then you guys got to create whatever you wanted with it, and it turned out great.
yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun.
Good.
Yeah,
I like this little setup you got going on here. That's neat.
yeah, I'm trying. Oh, yeah, my background. All
The
right,
whole
now I'm
thing, like how you have your computer screen and all that. That's neat.
trying to stop share now. So, oh well, you can see it still. Is it fine?
I can still see it.
Mm, let's see. Well, I guess
I'm
this is
guessing you
where it
probably need
is.
to open. You probably need to open
Oh,
Zoom back
I
up.
see it. I see it now. I see it at the very top.
Boom.
Okay. I was looking, I turned it on at the bottom, but you turned it on at the top. So, um, well, I was going to ask you something totally different.
Okay.
How do you relax? Because I
I
know,
think
I'm,
that's
I'm-
tough.
yeah, I'll kind of start it out with, I know that you're married, you have kids,
Mhm.
you work full time, and you are creating a podcast. Right now, it's a small empire, but it is definitely feeling like an empire.
It does.
If you have that many people and you're responsible for all of this, that's a lot. So what do you do when you're not doing that stuff?
So the biggest thing for me, and this is tough because if you're not fueling the empire, I guess, as you say, if you're not fueling the social media, if you're not consistent, it drops you quick. If you go a couple days without it. So my biggest thing is I'll make, on days when I'm doing stuff, I'll throw a few extra clips in there, but I won't post them or something like that. That way on my days off, I can just throw something on there and go. So I'll be, 2, 3 weeks straight, just constantly working. And then I'll take a day and I'll be like, you know what? I'm off today. I'm going to spend it specifically with the kids. Uh, and that's the other thing. You typically do stuff early in the morning when they just went to school or
Okay.
late at night when they're laying down. Um, Doing this is relaxing to me. I love this. But running the network that's why I brought admins into it because I can do it by myself, but there's been times where I've been so overwhelmed and it kind of messes with my creativity, because I feel too crushed for time.
Hmm.
And so I've made a point to have to bring some people in, and they're not even really trained all the way. Because the biggest thing about JG's Lounge that I want to maintain is that unbiased aspect of any show that comes on there. And eventually I'd like to have every aspect of niches, news, whatever. If you want to do politics, that's a tough one for me. I would really have to know what you're getting into, but it would have to be unbiased. So those are things I don't have a voice for, so I don't get into it. But
Well, I like that philosophy. And like a lot of times, like when I read articles, political articles, sometimes they add the little extra which takes away the unbiasedness. Whether
yes,
you're on this team or that team or whatever, if you're in the middle, it's really hard. I view myself as middle left, and it's really hard when it's too far left or when it's too far right because I can agree with some on both sides,
right.
but the way things are written now is so polarized. Um,
Well, and you take away from your viewership too, the your engagement when you gear towards one side or the other. In my opinion,
I think you're
if
right.
if you stay unbiased, yeah, you're gonna have the people that want to argue. That's gonna happen anyways. But you could easily discuss with somebody how they're wrong, if they're trying to say that you're doing something a certain way.
Hmm.
And that's what I like is I know that I do it with a person with the perception of it not being biased, so I can confront somebody on it and be like, no, that's not what it was. You're taking it the wrong way. That's kind of how I view everything.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to ask you, what's your dream job? Realizing it might be podcast.
Actually, the more I get involved in this stuff, yeah, I would love to be able to stay home and do this. There's so much involvement in social media and filming and all this stuff now with the way that the internet is compared to how it was, 10 years ago. And I'm sure you know that just as much as I do. But the creativity plays the biggest part. So like a lot of the feedback that I get on everything I do is how creative it is. And that's what I love. And then I joined a network on TikTok a few weeks ago. And the biggest reason why I did that is because I don't have an LLC yet. That's actually my goal in the next several months is to get an LLC. So that I can officially launch JG's Lounge as a licensed network. So I joined a network on TikTok and I'm learning a lot from them. I'm learning how the network aspect works. And it's all about doing what I'm already doing, which is creating creators like you. And guiding people to the right direction. And the one thing I do like about TikTok is that some of these creators make $30,000 a month,
Wow.
but it's your investment. So it's you fuel that. It's all about what you do. So, and that's what I do. So if I can do that for other people, then that investment returns on me. So TikTok, the way it works is they take 60%, which is stupid. But I'm making about anywhere from $10 to $20 every couple of weeks, which is gas money. That's something. And I just started.
Yeah.
um, uh, but that's after they take their 60%. And then what they do is they'll take a percentage of that 60 and give it back to the network that you're a part of. So as long as if I'm engaging with you and I'm promoting you and you're driving your numbers, not only are you getting paid, I'm getting a little bit back from it too. But you're not being affected out of it. I'm not
Yeah.
taking it from you. I'm taking it from TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I'm thinking just the way my schedule works that I'll probably try to do three or four and then release one a week is kind of what I'm thinking might be the
Yes,
best
and you can
approach.
schedule releases too. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
So,
just to do it like that.
mhm,
Where do you see your podcast in a year? Like if right now you have, I think you said 16, 12 active. How many
mhm.
people do you have doing podcast? And then where do you see that in a year? Do you see
So, like
them?
I said, four of them are mine. Three of them are evolutions. I guess now we'd have 13 with you launching. Um, uh, I have Patrick has one, and then I got my buddy Sean has two. So, I mean, realistically, out of the 16, there's really only like five or six of us that are actually doing it.
Okay.
Um, I got six now with you. But in a year, I would love to have, you know, 20 people engaged with the network, fueling it, and everybody helping each other out. Because at the end of the day, that's what the network's about: is having a community of people that are supporting each other. And the more engaged and the more we're helping each other, the more we're going to grow. The biggest thing I've noticed from people like you, and even in the film industry, the local scenes, is they're fueling themselves because they want to be seen. They want their stuff to be out there. So, I'm promoting you and you're promoting yourself. So that's fueling the numbers, that's getting the views out there. And it's a lot of fun to see that interaction with the people that I have on.
Yeah. Are you seeing like your next podcast right now? A lot of them, and I can't say I don't know all of them. I've been on three of them, one of them twice.
Oh, you
Um,
were on the courtroom chaos.
oh, the
I've
Courtroom Chaos
been
too. Okay, okay. So another one then as well. But yeah, there's like, do you see yourself having podcasts in very different areas? And you brought up politics. What about like the music, having a podcast with music
I
or
would love to,
sports or
for I thought about doing that myself, but I don't I have kind of my own sort of like niche that works for me. So if somebody wants to come in the music scene, bring it. Like I'd love to bring in other people, politics, music, news from around the world. Whatever. The whole point of a network is to kind of have a little bit of everything. I don't want to be a TLC or an MTV where it's just one type of thing. I want a little bit of everything so people can come there and find whatever they're into, you know.
Yeah, and if like you had someone come to you and say they wanted to get started, like what advice would you give to people that are new podcasters or someone approaching you saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about a podcast." What advice would you give them?
The first thing I tell anybody, and I've actually turned people away from this, is what's your purpose behind it? Like for me, I do it because I enjoy it. Like I know that it's eventually gonna pay off financially. But I never went into it with that being my sole purpose. And anybody who comes to me like, "Hey, I think I can make a killing on this," if that's your goal, I don't want to work with you. Like that's because I'm not gonna get your organic realness if your only drive is the money. Because I've been doing this 5 years and I'm just now starting to get a little bit of back from every now and then. Facebook will send me 40, $50. Instagram, I'll occasionally get some money. TikTok, I'm now getting a little bit, but it's not much. It's just something, and it took me years to get there. And if I can help speed you up on that, great, I'll do it. But that's not the reason why I do it. So I don't want to work with anybody whose mindset is that. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just saying I don't want that. So I would be more than happy to help anybody who wants to do it because they want to do it. I can help you find what you're into. I can help you design it and even get it going. Even if you don't want to be a part of JG's Lounge, I'm here to help anybody. I don't want anything out of it. Maybe some publicity. You can give me some acknowledgement. But that's about it.
Yeah.
I do. I love helping people. It's what I do. It's what I've always done on here.
I think that the desire to help people, I think a lot of us have that in us. I enjoy helping other people. I think you automatically, I mean, you're helping me get started
Mhm.
on this. Um,
Yeah.
so what is it like you were talking about what you look for in someone is that they enjoy it or they have a purpose and all that. What
Mhm.
would you say if someone were to define your purpose in podcast and your purpose in growing a small empire, what would be your purpose?
You mean out of the whole thing?
Yeah, what is your purpose?
Growth in a community. You know, I I've gotten a lot of pleasure out of this, and if I can give that to somebody else, that's all that matters to me. I'm gonna continue doing this whether people join or not, but I'm seeing that people enjoy it. So if they're wanting to be a part of it, I'm happy to help. So that's ultimately it. And if I could do this 4 days a week and not work another job, that'd be great. You know how awesome that'd be to work 3 or 4 days a week.
Wow.
So I mean, kind of my next step would be, once I get an LLC, is kind of build a local studio here and kind of have 2 or 3 days out of the week where I go there, 6 to 8 hours, knock out several shows, some of them pre-recorded, some of them live, maybe even have like a merch storage there and kind of give people a place to come that want to kind of learn. And that's really my next step.
Very good. Are there any podcasts that you watch?
Uh, there's one called Time Suck with Dan Cummins. He's actually how I found out about podcasts. He's a stand-up comedian. He does like true crime. He'll do like conspiracy theory stuff. But he has like this whole team that sort of does a lot of research for him. And then when he does his shows, he brings like a satirical aspect to it. But he's very informative about the topics that he does. And I love that. So I got that. And then there's one called Scared to Death. It's just, people who send in stories. And then there's one called Crime Junkies that I like where they do a lot of true crime stuff. I just like that kind of stuff.
No, that's awesome. What's your favorite Kansas City area restaurant?
That's good. That's a good question. It's a good question. Huh.
Costco hot dogs?
No, yeah, that's great. No, I would say I don't know that I have a local one. I don't know that there's a place that I go locally that's only here.
That's okay. What's your favorite restaurant?
There's a place called Sushi Mito if you're into sushi. It's in Shawnee. It's like $28 for unlimited sushi,
Wow.
and it's good sushi. But
Okay.
I usually end up leaving pretty sick because I eat so much.
I've been wanting to
It's
try
good.
this. There's a place called
I
Magic
like cooked,
Noodle.
huh?
I've been wanting to try Magic Noodle. I've seen their advertisements. Have you ever been to one of those?
I don't even know what that is.
Well, it's just a place they make their own noodles and you see them like they stretch it out and then they fold it over, then they stretch it out and they show them making their own noodles. And I think it's a chain, but there's one in Lee Summit, one in Overland Park. And I would
That
love to
sounds
go to one
good.
of those sometime, but I have not been.
I would, I will go with you.
There we go. Magic noodles. It sounds great. Um, I didn't, I know that you're married and stuff, but could you tell us a little bit, as much as you're comfortable with, about your family and
So I got my wife, my two kids. We've got four dogs and two ferrets.
four
Uh,
dogs and two ferrets? Oh my God.
yeah, yeah, I got a lot of animals. And yeah, I really geared towards not talking about them on
Sure.
social media.
Sure.
Uh, just because as I grow, I kind of want my personal life to remain my personal life,
Sure.
if that makes
Sure.
sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell me about your dogs then.
Okay, I've got I guess I have five dogs. God, it's
Oh my
terrible.
goodness. Now, oh,
I
wait.
have three.
I've gotten several answers now.
I've got
You
five
said
dogs,
four,
two
three,
ferrets.
five. So how many dogs do you
Well,
have?
no. I have three Chihuahuas.
Okay. They
Three
don't count as
Chihuahuas.
dogs. Those count as hamsters.
No, they're just collectively one pain in the ass. And then I have a German Shepherd, and then we have a Collie Pyrenees mix. So she's
Wow.
older.
I
She's
bet
very
she's
pretty.
huge.
Yes, she's a very big old lady, and she's sweet. They're all pretty good. The Chihuahuas are probably the most obnoxious ones, but they're Chihuahuas.
Yeah, well, they're supposed to be. Um,
The ferrets are fun too.
yeah, why do you have ferrets? Like what was the driving decision to get ferrets?
Wife, wife wanted it. The biggest thing, they're actually a lot of fun because they're kind of a mix between a dog and a cat. But there's a very strict diet that if you have them on, like raw egg and raw poultry. They love it. It actually is really healthy for them. And if you have them on that diet and you play with them and interact with them, they're very playful animals. They're a lot of fun.
Wow.
But they have this big old cage set up, and you can just sit there and watch them sometimes. It's kind of like having an aquarium, except they're ferrets.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, I guess is there anything that you want to share that I didn't ask you about that maybe you thought would be important?
Why did you decide that you wanted to start this?
Well, I am in Kansas City and I've probably done 10 or 12 projects a year for the last 7 years now. And there are a lot of interesting people that I've met and like writers, directors, actors, people behind the scenes. I have somebody that's a behind the scenes person that I think is fascinating that I would love to interview as well. And I don't think a lot of them have been interviewed. Um, there's a lady who's a stand-up comedian here in town,
Mhm.
and she used to be a teacher. And I went and saw her comedy show. It was hilarious. I think she's someone who could make it big. So I would like to help people in Kansas City um, get their names out there. That's my
Good.
main goal. So
That's
yeah,
good. That's
yeah. It
great.
always it hurts me when I go on set and well, here's the main two actors. These two are from Los Angeles. This one's from New Mexico. We need you from Kansas City to come in and do a bit part and all that. And um, and that's like that. That's happened before. And I think they're all good. I mean, they're all good actors. But I think I've met people in Kansas City who could have done those same roles, but people don't know about them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge too. There's a lot of people that don't know where to go or how to
Yeah.
get their exposure. And as much as I have a love-hate relationship with social media is kind of where it's at now. It's the way the world is now compared to what it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. I would say you've got a five parts love, one part hate. with social media.
It's it's how you utilize it too. I look at it from a business aspect. You get people who sit there and doom scroll all day with no purpose behind it.
Sure.
Um, that's never like I refuse to do that. So like as I grow, instead of scrolling and just scrolling, I'll like look through the program's backgrounds, like what are some of the tools that program offers. Even Facebook has things that they offer if you actually just dig and look for them.
Sure.
Um, so that's kind of what my biggest goal has been the last several months is focusing on what those platforms really offer from a business aspect.
Yeah. That's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching you grow. I'm looking forward to watching the podcast increase. I hope I can be a part of your growth and
You have been since I've had you on the first time. You have.
yeah, so
we,
that's great.
yeah,
All right. Well, hey, thank you for talking with us today.
no problem. Thank you
I
for having me on.
appreciate you. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Yep. We'll talk soon.
All right. See ya.